I know Brent Venables talked a lot about Illinois State and kind of hyping them up. And I didn't really agree with Brent Venables. But with Brent Venables, I understand respecting your opponents and not overlooking your opponents. That is totally something that, as the head coach, you should do, and recognizing where they have talent. He was talking up their quarterback. And yes, at the FCS level, Iowa State is a good FCS team. And I see Jimmy Satterfield, even in the chat, says Iowa State's a pretty good FCS team. They're ranked 6th. Yes, they're a former a playoff team, I believe, even in the FCS as well. And so, as from a season ago, and a very much returning team. It's a very, very similar team to what they had last season. There's really not much different about this team. But going back to last season and seeing who they played against, early in the year, there was a game against Iowa that they played. And that's the one that sticks out to me the most, because Iowa hung 40 points on Illinois State, and they beat them 40-0. Quick break in the action. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed. If you want to support the channel a little bit further, jump down to the link down in the description below and make sure you become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month. We're going to offer so much more for our members, but we're still going to keep all of the same old content. All of this content is still going to be brought to you guys, but just a little bit extra for our members. Let's get back to the action. 40-0, got completely shut out. They moved the ball fairly well and did a really good job in the first half and kept Iowa's offense quiet. But then Iowa turned around and scored 13 in the third quarter, 21 in the fourth quarter. This is, I mean, I don't see how Oklahoma doesn't beat Illinois State. Man, if they only beat them by 50, I'm not content with that personally. Just because we expect this defense, even if you're putting in your 3 guys on defense, to be able to shut them down on offense. You really expect them to shut anything down. I'll give them maybe 10 points. I'm okay with garbage points being allowed. I'm not one of these fans that I think if you don't shut them out that it's a complete failure. I would love to see a goose egg on the scoreboard, but I really feel like if this offense has improved as much as everyone's making it out to be, and as much as it seems on paper that it has improved, with guys like Jaden Knott, with Javonte Barnes looking healthy and good, I think Torrey Blaylock, he's obviously listed as the number 2 back there on the depth chart. I think Torrey Blaylock very well could be in this game, and we know what he's capable of. He worked his tail off in fall camp. Whenever there weren't many guys there to do the job of the running back, he stepped up in a big way. So, I know that Jaden Knott's not going to play a whole lot. I mentioned him. He's not going to play a whole lot. Xavier Robinson isn't going to play a whole lot, if much at all. And I totally get that. You're going to have some of your main starters that may not play much at all, but Oklahoma's 2s and 3s should still be able to hang 50-60 on Illinois State. And with that being said, I think that Oklahoma should just absolutely be able to win way more than the 35.5. I think I said the spread was. And I'm going to give some betting predictions and stuff like that on Thursday. So make sure to tune in on Thursday. I would like to go through some. I don't recommend placing any bets on your own team. That's a terrible tactic. But I'll go down through some of the bets that I like for Oklahoma. Not that I'm taking them, but the ones that I look at that compared to what Vegas has us, I'd like to know where we're at. The spread is absolutely one. I would think that smashing that and probably hitting the over. The over has me a little concerned there at 60+ points. But I think when you look at this Oklahoma offense, even if you put Michael Hawkins Jr. in at quarterback and you've got Torrey Blaylock in at running back, and you have Zion Kearney. Let's pull up that depth chart one more time and go down the list of guys that you could have at wide receiver. So Jacob Jordan, Jermichael Carter, Zion Kearney. Again, Elijah Thomas. I mean, if you were to have these guys in, would you not feel confident that Oklahoma would be able to run all over their defense as an FCS team? I sure hope so, because last season what we saw against Temple, and I think Temple is slightly worse than Illinois State. If I had to compare the two, I think I would probably mark Temple either at the same level. They're an FBS team, so I guess you got to give them that. But I don't know if I don't think that they're as good as Illinois State. But Oklahoma only hung, what was it, 53 on them last season? It was in the 50s. And that was disappointing to see. And the excuse was that they just didn't give everything. And it did look like they weren't opening up the playbook, but it turns out they just never knew how to open up the playbook. And so it's just I have to imagine that if Oklahoma doesn't put 60 points for themselves up on the board on offense, this feels like a little bit of a disappointment after understanding what this offense, and I'm not talking about just the players, because I know that you're only going to have probably your 2s and 3s playing most of the game, but the offense itself with Ben Arbuckle and the offense that he's instilled with the play calling and everything built around it, that you wouldn't have more of an explosive offense and be able to hang 60 points on him. Again, I'll give 10 to 13 points. If you can hang 60 points, I'm okay with offering up 10 to 13 points, because that means that you're moving on offense. I would like to see it more methodical. Get down there. You can move it down there quick, but take quite a few plays doing it. Get chunk plays here and there and wear them down. Rather than just 2 plays touchdown. I don't want to see a whole lot of that, because I do want to keep the defense where they're not having to take as many snaps, but also the defense being able to get off the field on 3rd down often, getting some turnovers. I want to see a lot of that, especially against an FCS opponent. So for Vegas to be predicting about 48-12 to be the score, I would be pretty upset to see only 48-12. Personally, I would be pretty upset. If Oklahoma's not at least hanging 55 points, I think I'm kind of upset just knowing what this offense has been made out to be all season long. If you liked this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to support this channel, keep on growing, and for more to be offered to you, become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month. That's as cheap as, honestly, cheaper than just grabbing a coffee down at the coffee shop each day. So go down there, down below. $2.99 a month is what we start off our memberships, and it will help us keep on growing and offering you more and more content as we grow. Of course, make sure you're subscribed, and that link is down in the description below to become a member today to help us keep on growing. We'll see you next time. Boomer.